How to build a retain no change case in Fintegrate. I will go into one of my recent cases with my client Will Spencer, where I have already done the risk analysis, plug in the existing policies either manually or through the IntelliFlow or platform integration. I've analyzed the policies, and now I'm going to move to the recommendation. So all the previous 3 steps are in different videos. So now we're going to focus on what do we do if we want to have a retain no change for the policies you're analyzing for your client. So in this case here, all I need to do is to select the action for any policy I'm looking at. And for today, we're going to select a retain no change for both of them. You can see that I'm using a risk scale of 1 to 10. I'm currently using e-value for this example, but you also have a choice of using FinaMetrica in Fintegrate, which will give you different risk scores. So now that I have selected my retain no change, that's all showing fine in here for my SIPP and my ISA. I've got a transaction record, which is very useful if I get interrupted or you work as a team, so you can see where you left off. But all the important information and all the actions happen here in the recommended portfolio table. So you can see all the blue buttons here. This is all the actions you can take. And in this example, I don't need to do much because I am staying as we are. We are staying invested in Tatton in this example, and we are staying with Fundment in this example for the platform and the policy provider. What I can do from this page, for example, is to add contributions or withdrawals. So let's say, for example, for the SIPP, we want to add a monthly withdrawal of £1,000. This is something I can easily set up. And obviously, a contribution will be the opposite of that. You'll need to select the money in button here on the left. So once this is done, the rest of the report will show you a comparison of existing versus recommended. If you wish to add a new policy for the client, such as investing new money in a brand new wrapper, this is how you would do it, but I'll cover this in another video. So for now, we're looking at the existing versus recommended scheme of work here. Obviously, everything will stay the same with our charges, with our performance. What you can do is take a look at the detailed performance on this graph here. So we've got our SIPP, our ISA, and the overall existing lines as well. And obviously the recommended portfolio are the same on top of that. You can also change the time frame here from that performance table, and you could potentially add some benchmarks. So we've got quite a lot for you to choose from, over 400, and we've tried to make it easy for you to select any of these filters here, allowing you, to pick up the ones that's the most relevant to you. So for this one, I've picked the 20-60% share. So thankfully, all my policies are above the benchmark. And I also have all our cumulative, discrete, annualized calendar performances, along with the max drawdown and max gain tables. You can also take a look at this performance from a chart view perspective. So that's for any of the tabs that I'm selecting here at the top. And you can pick and choose the time frame as well on the right here. Then we move on to the scatter chart. You've got a choice of 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year here to really explain to your clients the volatility versus performance ratio, which is also in that table here. And again, you find that chart view button for any table we present to you. We move on now to the breakdown between the asset class, sector, country, and regional breakdowns with the equity and fixed income. It's worth noting for the asset class that you also have a simplified view available to look at the equity versus fixed income split. Once you have finished the recommendation actions on the previous page, you can now move on to the advisor charges. So this is where you can add an initial charge or your ongoing charge, which I will do right now. I will say that I am charging 0.50% across the SIPP and the ISA in this example. You can also choose a pound charge, and you can choose whether this is paid directly or from the policy, and you can of course choose which which policy the charge will be applied on. So for here, I'm charging 0.5% across both policies, which will then give me an aggregate cost and charges chart, so the client can visually see very quickly how much did they contribute, or how much is coming out of the pot. So in this case, we've got the our advisor charges, obviously investment charges, and our withdrawals. So that's my £1,000 every year. And then you've got the charges overview in pounds and pennies of the next 20 years. The next step is for you to download the report. So in this example, that's everything we've been through on the recommendation page. You can add an executive summary, and when you download the report, you will have the option to tick, untick any pages that you'd like to see, and you can also specify if you want to see more than one chart within that report. We give you the option between PDF and Word report. So if I click on the PDF report for our retain no change example, you could potentially remove the recommended portfolio, as it might be a repeat of the existing portfolio being analyzed, because we kept the money on Fundment and with Tatton. So if you click on download it as a PDF, it'll take a couple of minutes for you to come through, and then you are able to see that report, which you can fully white label, brand it, change all of the colors to really make it your own. So I'm just scrolling through quickly, where you can see all the portfolio's underlying holdings, and that's everything we've covered together with all the breakdowns, all our charges, past performance in charts and tables, as well as our scattered charts and all the aggregated cost and charges tables.